Good evening all. I've had a really good think about the signals, and because they were so off skew, it made me think there might be something in this 2% move. Because what's happened now with the signals that we've basically got in early, the early bird approach. Now I was thinking, if we look at it like a trading volume perspective, 2%, you could probably argue up here, this 2% of this iceberg, imagine this is your retail crowd as a whole. This is 2%. This is the creme de la creme of retail traders. These guys are highly skilled, risk management, technical, fundamentals, possibly even sentiment, to be honest. So why don't we look at these guys? Because we had a 2% move today, and those guys got paid a lot. Now, maybe there's something in that. We saw the data today, and by having that 2% shift from the beginning of the day when the markets closed, and we had a 2% shift between the bubbles, they profited a lot on all of our signals. This small 2%. So what I'm going to propose is that we won't look at the dumb herd, like the majority of retail traders. We're going to look at the minority, but the tiny minority of retail traders. This 2%, they could be onto something, right? Because these guys are funded. They want to track MyFixBook to see their performance. They could be having their own services, their own subscriptions. They could just be highly skilled traders. Makes sense, because 2% is a tiny minority in the scheme of things. And what you'll find is that they won't carry emotional baggage. They'll let their losses, they'll cut their losses, and then they'll let their profits run. These guys here, they're underwater. They're so used to being underwater. That's what it is. That's what they're used to. And this is like the 2%. This is 98% of the retail traders. So it kind of makes sense that we'd be looking at that. So we won't be doing necessarily, it's not going ahead yet, but this is an idea. We won't be doing the opposite of this. We'll be doing this, right? You could probably say this is quite ambiguous. There's lots of stuff that, hit and miss, on, off, loads of variables. These guys will either go one way or not, and that's it. So, these guys, we've got hundreds of thousands of individuals, got their own agendas, there's psychology involved. So this is, there's quite a lot of variables here in this iceberg. They could be working full time. That's one thing, where they don't care about having losses. They'll just hold them to drawdown. There's many variables in this large iceberg. But if we focus on that, then we might have like a cleaner idea of the market, of the retail, not crowd, but we're going to say minority. So I think this is like an important video, because it could be like a new way of looking at the retail sentiment, where we wouldn't necessarily be looking at this huge majority. We'll be looking at that smart minority. And today it showed that they did quite well. This 2% shift, but we have to remember that there's no checks, no technicals or fundamentals in this 2% move. It's simply a 2% move on volume. That's quite interesting. I did forget about that, so I'm going to be watching that. Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. Wow. So I lost my train of thought now, which is kind of annoying. But so this is what I'll be doing. What we'll be doing. This is the large iceberg way of looking at things. Okay, this is like how we get our signals generated, and I think potentially maybe next week we'll be looking at this, and not the large majority, but the smart minority. It does make sense. And especially after today's performance on that small trading volume, they really did get paid as well. So we have to make some assumptions that are not to be used as contrarian data. Fundamentals would need to be true. that they were right, because they bought pound yen, and fundamentals, quite risk on. The VIX is being crushed, and we've got a negative SSI. The S&P is above its yearly pivot. The VIX is below its yearly pivot. Fundamentally, it was good. It was a good one for them to do. So that's the fundamentals bit. The 2% movement, albeit it's a small shift, can provide quick entry and exit. It just so happened that they got in, but then they got paid. They got a really good early entry on that, and they're up quite a bit. So we have to accept this small 2% get rewarded. This remaining 98% of traders that carry baggage. There's all that stuff, all that psychology going on. It might be clearer to see what these guys are doing. You're going to get more powerful data from a minority than you would from a large majority, because they're this like a herd of sheep, and they can go one way or not, change their mind. They could TP or SL as a whole, and it can really impact the market if we look at this. But if we look at this, it's going to be a little bit more simpler. And so what I need to say is there's a history before, when the signal's generated. So a 2% cashback is peanuts for the market makers. Now I'll need to probably tell you what I mean by this. So we imagine, let's go to this one. Right, so imagine this is them going long. This is like, say, Monday, and then Tuesday here. And so Tuesday here, and our signal's generated here, because we're waiting for a 2% move. And this is that 2% of trading volume from that smart minority. So really, in the scheme of things, this isn't really much, but if we enter here, this is not a bad move. Now what happens with the retail majority, they are, we're looking at like the signal like this, where we're not looking left, but we have to remember there's all the sentiment that predates our signal. So this 2% move is nothing. It's like a cashback, essentially, where they've gone for a complete roller coaster, and it's like they've gone through hell, and break even, and fear, capitulation, negative, positive emotions, all sort of stuff going to the left of our signal. But that doesn't concern us. We're just concerned with this, and this is the pay. This is like a small cashback from what they experienced yesterday. So maybe there is something in this 2% move where we capture like the essence of the day ahead potentially. Really, what should happen is that the large majority get punished. So what I think would probably happen is that when it comes up, retail guys will go, oh, hang on a minute, oh, let's get involved, and of course it does this. Right, so that's a potential scenario, is that they've come too late, I think. And don't forget, you've got your stop loss clusters up here as well and things like that. So nice and early, and then when the majority comes in, then it goes against them. So it could be something in this early entry at 2% on the bubbles, and we get in before the majority of traders get involved. And so this could be something here. I think this has got a good potential. So what I'm going to do is collate the data. We'll see how we go tomorrow, and if it goes bad on this, then that's fine. We can probably just overlook it. But there might be something in this smart minority. It's good potential. There is something there in that small 2% of trading volume. They're they're wizened up to the move. What's going to occur. So just to recap, is that we've got a large dumb majority view that we're currently doing. This is coming through into Telegram, and potentially we're gonna maybe overlook this, and we'll put the smart minority in here. So what we'll be doing the same as the retail guys, but only a small, tiny, profitable percentage, and that could be something there. So it just seems very strange today that that small 2%, they got really paid. That was up by 100 pips. That was over 100 pips. It was just green across the board from this small move. So perhaps there's something in this. I will remind you if in videos, subsequent videos, if we're going to do this, I will keep you guys informed, obviously, but we will need to collect more data tomorrow, and then for the rest of the week, and maybe even the following week. So as it stands, we'll continue as we are. We're looking at the dumb herd, and I think potentially we can probably don't look at the dumb herd, we'll just look at the smart minority, and maybe that's where the money is, potentially. And so that's that. So hopefully it's clear, and I guess I'll be watching that football match. So have a good night, and I'll speak to you soon.